It is a Saturday morning in late May. You are standing at the end of your driveway with a cup of coffee, looking at a front yard you would rather not look at. There is a pile of old brick and broken down cardboard boxes over by the fence. There are a couple of bald tires, half swallowed by weeds that have grown past your knees. The house behind it all is perfectly fine. The yard in front of it looks like nobody lives there. And 2 doors down, your neighbor has sunflowers along a low brick wall and a lawn so green it looks painted on. You have told yourself for 3 springs running that this is the year you finally deal with it. But here is what nobody at the garden center will tell you. That mess out front is about 4 weekends away from being a real cottage garden, with a stone path, a flower border full of color, and a small green lawn, and most of the work is easier than hauling the junk. The whole month runs on one strict order of operations. And the strangest part of that order is the week where I am going to ask you to do almost nothing at all. Stay with me to the end, because the reason you have to stop and wait comes down to one specific thing weed seeds do the moment you disturb that soil. And it is the single thing that decides whether your flowers stand alone in July or disappear under crabgrass by August. I'm Larry Mitchell. For 25 years, I ran the lawn and garden counter at our town's hardware store, and I watched every bag, bottle, and flat of flowers come across that counter. I saw what folks returned in August, and I saw what they came back and bought again year after year. These days, I keep my own lawn here in Ohio, and my wife Diane will tell you it's my second marriage. Now, before we touch a single weed, I want to tell you why most front yard makeovers fail. Because I watched it happen from behind that counter every June. A fella rents a dumpster on Saturday. He hauls the junk, rips out the weeds, runs a rototiller over the whole yard, and plants $200 worth of flowers on Sunday. It looks wonderful for about 3 weeks. By the middle of July, he is back at my counter, and the crabgrass in his brand new flower bed is thicker than it ever was in the old mess. He blames the flowers. He blames the weather. The flowers were never the problem. The order was the problem. He did the pretty work before the killing work, and in a neglected yard, the killing work is 9/10 of the job. That is the true cost of doing this wrong. It is not one wasted weekend. It is the whole summer. It is the $200 in plants. And worst of all, it is that little voice that says, "Well, I tried, and my yard just does not want to grow flowers." Your yard is fine. It just needs the steps in the right order. And today we will walk through all 4 weeks together, one at a time. And keep that waiting week in the back of your mind, because that is the part everybody gets wrong. And before we are done, I will show you exactly why it works. Now, everything I am going to walk you through today comes straight out of a plan I wrote down, called Larry's 30-Day Weed Kill Protocol. It is 88 pages, written the same way I talk, one step at a time, for folks who are tired of fighting the same weeds every single season. Part 1 teaches you to know your enemy, spotting the big 7 lawn killers early and precisely. Part 2 is the kill itself, your tools, your products, your safety and your budget, the 7-day elimination blitz, my trusted tenacity system, and organic and pet-safe alternatives that work without harsh chemicals. Part 3 rebuilds the lawn after the kill and sets up the prevention fortress so the weeds stay gone. Part 4 is my month-by-month calendar for the whole year. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47, which is less than 1 jug of the stuff I watched people waste money on every spring. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right. Gloves on, neighbor. Let's start week 1. Week 1 runs from day 1 through day 7, and this week has exactly one job: clearing. Not planting, not spraying, just clearing. Saturday morning, put on a pair of leather work gloves. Start with the big junk first. The brick pile, the boxes, the tires, the scrap lumber. All of it goes into a rented dumpster or the bed of a pickup truck. If lifting is hard on your back, work in short rounds with breaks in between. Take your time. There is no prize for finishing sore. One note on those tires. In most towns, they cannot go in the regular trash, so call your local tire shop, because most shops will take old tires off your hands for a few dollars each. Once the junk is gone, you're going to see your actual yard for the first time in years, weeds and all. And now I need you to trust me on the strangest instruction of the whole month. Do not pull those weeds. I will say that again, because it matters. Do not pull the weeds this week. I know every bone in your body wants to yank them out by the fistful. But pulling them tears up the soil, and tearing up the soil is exactly the thing we are trying not to do. The reason is the same secret I promised you at the start, and we are working our way toward it. For now, take a string trimmer, or your mower set on its highest wheel setting, and cut all that tall growth down to 3 or 4 inches. Rake up everything you cut and bag it for the trash. Do not put it in a compost pile, because those weed tops are loaded with ripe seed. 2 more jobs before week 1 is out, and both of them happen with a notepad instead of a shovel. First, walk the yard and figure out what you are actually fighting. Crabgrass grows low and wide, like a green spider laid flat on the ground. Dandelions you know by the yellow flower and the flat rosette of jagged leaves. Clover shows you 3 round leaflets and the little white blooms the bees love. Thistle introduces itself the first time you grab it without gloves on. Write down what you see and roughly where it lives. When you know the enemy by name, the product aisle stops being confusing. Second, sketch your plan on that same notepad. A cottage garden is simpler than the magazines make it look. You only need 3 things: a small lawn, a walking path, and a flower border between the path and the house, or along the fence line. Draw where each one goes, then measure the whole area in feet and write down the square footage. Every bag of seed and compost you buy later depends on that number, so measure it once and keep it. And one last thing, and this one is not optional. If your path or your beds will need digging deeper than a few inches, call 811 before you dig. That is 811, the free national line that sends someone out to mark your buried utility lines. It costs nothing and takes a couple of days, so make that call early in the week. So week 1, gathered back up in one breath. Junk hauled out, weeds cut short and bagged. Nothing pulled. Enemies named on the notepad. Plan sketched, yard measured, and 811 called. That handles the clearing. But it leaves you standing in a yard full of live, angry weeds, which brings us to week 2. The kill. Week 2 runs from day 8 through day 14, and the actual work takes 1 dry morning. For the areas that will become your flower beds and your path, you want a non-selective weed and grass killer from the hardware store. And non-selective simply means it kills everything green it touches, weeds and grass alike. That is fine, because nothing growing in those bed areas is anything you want to keep. For the area that will become your lawn, look at it honestly. If there is decent grass mixed in worth saving, you would use a selective broadleaf weed killer instead, which means it takes out the weeds and spares the grass. But in a yard like the one we started with, there is usually not much worth rescuing, and it is cleaner to treat the whole lawn area too and start fresh from seed. Now let me put my old counter apron on for a minute, because this is where I watched people get hurt or waste money. Read the label on that jug twice before you mix anything. The label is the law, and it is also the best instruction sheet in the store. Wear waterproof gloves and long sleeves. Pick a calm morning with no wind-pushing spray onto your neighbor's roses, and no rain in the forecast for at least 24 hours. Keep the kids and the pets off the yard until every leaf is completely dry, and the label will tell you how long that takes. Stay well back from any pond, creek, or storm drain. And I will tell you plainly I am not a licensed applicator. I ran the counter that sold this stuff for 25 years. But for a big job, a steep slope, or anything near water, call a licensed pro and let them earn their money. If you would rather skip the sprayer altogether, you have honest options. Horticultural vinegar products will burn down young weeds, and plain cardboard smothering will kill just about anything if you give it time. Both work. Both add roughly 2 extra weeks to this calendar, so plan for it. The pet-safe route is written out step by step in my book, so nobody has to choose between the garden and the golden retriever. One more piece of counter wisdom about the timing, because this is the difference between 1 jug and 3. These products only work on weeds that are actively growing, because the plant has to drink the spray down into its roots. A drought-stressed weed in bone-dry soil barely drinks at all. So if the yard is dusty dry, water it well 2 days before you spray. Let the weeds green up and get thirsty, then hit them. Spray in the morning after the dew has dried off the leaves, because spray on a wet leaf runs off before it soaks in. And plan on 1 touch-up pass around day 12, walking the yard with the sprayer and spot treating the few stubborn survivors, usually the deep-rooted thistle and the biggest dandelions. 2 light, well-timed passes beat 1 heavy soaking every single time, and the label agrees with me on that. Once the spraying is done, here comes the hard part for every one of us. You wait. For the rest of week 2, you do nothing out there. You water nothing. You dig nothing. You pull nothing. By day 10 or 11, the weeds start yellowing, and by day 14, most of that yard is a sad, wilted brown. And that is exactly what you want to see. And while you are waiting, remember what I told you at the start about what weed seeds do the moment soil gets disturbed. Hold that thought, because week 3 is where it starts deciding everything. Week 3 runs from day 15 through day 21, and this is the week your yard changes shape. Start by raking out all the dead, brown material with a stiff garden rake and bagging it. Rake with a light hand. You are combing the surface, not plowing it. Then grade the yard the same gentle way, knocking down the high spots and filling the low spots so water will not puddle by the front steps. And notice what we are not doing. The rototiller stays in the garage. I know a fluffy, tilled bed looks like progress. In an old neglected yard, tilling is the single most expensive mistake you can make, and the reason is the payoff I keep promising you. We are almost there. Now the path, because the path is what makes a plain yard read as a cottage garden. It is simpler than you think. Mark your walking line from the driveway to the front door with 2 garden hoses laid on the grass, and curve it a little, because a gentle curve looks like a garden, and a straight line looks like a sidewalk. For each flagstone or stepping stone, dig out just the shape of the stone, about 3 inches deep. Spread an inch of coarse sand in the hole. Set the stone on the sand and wiggle it level. 1 stone, 1 hole, 1 wiggle. Then the next. A comfortable step between stones is about 6 inches of gap. When the path is done, edge your flower beds along it with a flat spade, cutting a clean, shallow line. And if you set aside any of the sound, whole bricks from that junk pile in week 1, here is where they earn their keep. Lay them end to end along that cut edge, tipped at a slight angle so each brick leans on the next, and you have a classic cottage border edging that folks pay good money for at the garden center. The same bricks that made the yard look abandoned a month ago become the detail the neighbors compliment first. I love that part. Next, the beds get fed. Spread 2 inches of compost over every flower bed area. A quick word on buying it, because the math surprises people. Compost in bags runs $3 to $5 for a small bag, and covering real bed space that way adds up in a hurry. Most landscape supply yards sell it in bulk by the cubic yard, and 1 cubic yard covers about 160 square feet at 2 inches deep. That is 160 square feet per yard, so check it against the square footage you wrote down in week 1, and for anything bigger than a postage stamp, bulk delivery to the driveway is the better deal. That is 2 inches, about the depth of 2 fingers, not a light dusting. Do not dig it in. Lay it on top like a blanket, and let the worms do the mixing, because they are better at it than we are, and they work for free. Then comes the step that separates the folks who watched this video from the folks who did not. Water those bare, composted beds. Every day, a light sprinkle, for about 5 days. I know that sounds backwards. You are watering dirt, on purpose, with nothing planted in it. Trust me on this one. Around day 19 or 20, you will see a fine green fuzz of brand new baby weeds come up across those beds. And instead of groaning, I want you to smile, because you just did something clever, and I will tell you exactly what it was in a few minutes. Take a sharp hoe and slice that green fuzz off at the surface. Skim it, do not chop deep. Shallow, easy strokes, just under the soil line. Last job of week 3 is the lawn. Rough up only the top 1/4 inch of the lawn area with the rake. Spread your grass seed at the rate on the bag for your square footage, the number you wrote down in week 1. Here in Ohio and across the northern states, a sunny mix of Kentucky bluegrass and turf-type tall fescue is hard to beat. Water the seeded area lightly twice a day, and keep it damp like a wrung-out sponge. And a moment of honesty about the calendar. Seed sprouts best when soil is cool, in early fall or mid-spring. If you are doing this month in the heat of July, spend the extra money on sod for that small lawn instead of seed. Sod is the one shortcut in this whole plan that is worth every dollar. Let's gather week 3 up before we plant anything. Dead growth raked out gently. No tilling. Path set stone by stone on sand. Beds edged in your old brick. 2 inches of compost laid on top. Bare beds watered on purpose. The green fuzz hoed off shallow. And the lawn seeded and kept damp. Week 4, day 22 through day 30, is the week you have been waiting for. Planting the border. And I will tell you the same thing I told 1,000 customers. For your first year, buy transplants. The little started plants in trays, not seed packets. Seed packets are for year 2, once your beds are proven. Here is the whole cottage garden look in 3 rows. Tall in the back, medium in the middle, low in the front. Along the wall or fence at the back, plant hollyhocks and a row of sunflowers, the ones that will stand chest high and better by August. In the middle row, plant purple coneflowers, black-eyed Susans, and a generous helping of zinnias, because zinnias bloom their hearts out from July to frost and forgive every beginner mistake. Along the front edge by the path, tuck in sweet alyssum and marigolds. Follow the spacing printed on each plant tag, even when it looks too far apart on planting day. Crowded plants trade blooms for mildew. Dig each hole just as deep as the pot and twice as wide. Set the plant in. Firm the soil around it. Water it in slow and deep the same day. And then the final move of the month, and after what I am about to tell you, you will understand it is not decoration. Spread 2 to 3 inches of shredded hardwood mulch over every inch of bare soil in those beds, right up to each plant, without burying the stems. 2 to 3 inches. Not a sprinkle. After that, the whole yard gets about 1 inch of water per week, from you or from the sky. That is 1 inch per week, and an empty tuna can sitting in the bed makes a fine free rain gauge. When you water, water at the base of each plant, slow and low, not sprinkled over the leaves. Wet leaves in the evening are an invitation to mildew, so morning is the right time, the same as your coffee. Now let me set your expectations for the first summer, so nobody gets discouraged in week 5. The zinnias and marigolds will bloom fast and carry the show through July. The coneflowers and black-eyed Susans spend their first year mostly building roots, and they pay you back double the second summer. The hollyhocks may not bloom at all until next year, and that is normal, not failure. Once the zinnias get going, pinch off each bloom as it fades, right below the flower head. Gardeners call that deadheading, which just means removing spent blooms, and every flower you pinch off tells the plant to make 2 more. 10 minutes of pinching on a Sunday evening keeps that border loud with color, clear to the first frost. Which brings us, neighbor, to the part I promised you at the very start. The reason for the waiting. The reason we never pulled, never tilled, and watered empty dirt on purpose. Every square foot of that old, neglected soil is holding hundreds, and in a yard like yours was, more likely thousands, of weed seeds. Gardeners call it the seed bank, and it is exactly what it sounds like, a savings account of trouble, deposited by every dandelion puff and every crabgrass head that went to seed out there for the last 10 years. Those seeds do not die waiting. Crabgrass seed can sit dormant in dark soil for years and stay perfectly viable. And here is the piece almost nobody explains. A huge share of common weed seeds are triggered to sprout by light. One brief flash of sunlight on a buried seed flips its switch. That is the whole mechanism. So the moment a rototiller rolls that soil over, or a fistful of pulled weeds rips a divot open, you are hauling thousands of buried seeds up into the daylight and ringing their alarm clock. That fella from my counter, with the beautiful Sunday flower bed and the July crabgrass jungle, did not have bad luck. He personally woke up 10 years of seed bank in one afternoon of tilling. Every strange step this month was built around that one fact. We cut weeds instead of pulling them to keep the soil sealed. We left the tiller in the garage to keep the buried seed in the dark. We watered bare beds on purpose to trick the seeds already sitting at the surface into sprouting early, so your hoe could wipe out the whole graduating class before a single flower went in. And the mulch, those 2 to 3 inches, is the lid on the bank vault. It puts the rest of the seed bank back into permanent darkness, where it can sit and wait forever for all I care. That is why your flowers will stand alone in July, while the tilled and planted yards up the street disappear under crabgrass. You did not get lucky. You worked the order. And that right there is the difference between fighting weeds every year and being done with them. Everything we did this month, the kill, the timing, the prevention, is one piece of the full system in Larry's 30-day weed kill protocol, written out day by day so you never have to guess what comes next. It is $17, down from $47, and it costs less than the flat of flowers the crabgrass would have taken from you this summer. Calm, honest, step by step, the same way we just walked through this yard together. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So that is the month. Clear it, kill it, build it, plant it, and keep the seed bank in the dark. Tell me in the comments which weed is winning in your yard right now. Clover, crabgrass, dandelions, name it. I read every single one. And next time I am going to show you the one number on your mower deck that chokes out crabgrass all by itself. No sprayer involved. And why the fellas who mow the shortest always have the weediest lawns on the block. You've got this, neighbor. I'll see you out on the lawn.